Dragon Ball fans, we are so bad. Even though after today, there's only one more episode of Dragon Ball Daima, that does not mean that all of the content that we have gotten within the past few episodes haven't been some of the most peak Dragon Ball content of all time. Welcome back to Nerdstorm Entertainment, everybody. If this is your first time here, I am Nerdstorm, back with another Dragon Ball Daima episode review. And in today's video, we are going to be discussing Dragon Ball Daima episode 19, titled Betrayal. But before we go ahead and get into this episode review, be sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and then ring the bell to receive notifications so that way you know every time that I happen to upload a brand new video. And now that we got all the logistics out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this amazing episode. So the episode starts off where we left off last time, right? With Glorio making the wish to Porunga and Arensu thinking, yes, keyword thinking, that her wish was granted to become the Supreme Demon King. But instead, the wish that was made by Glorio was to actually turn Goku and the rest of the crew into adults again. And that's what we begin to see happening, as not only Goku, but Piccolo, Vegeta, and everybody else begins to glow, and you can see Goku knows exactly what's happening because he begins to smile, and then that's when he begins to go back into being an adult. And we get to see Goku as an adult yet again in Dragon Ball Daima. Technically, this is only the second episode that we got to see Goku as an adult, but hey, he's back. The king of all anime is back in action, and you can see everybody's happy to be back, especially Piccolo with him and his aura farming, because where did that cape come from? Somebody please let me know where this cape came from, because it literally came out of nowhere. But hey, let's not talk about that right now. But like I said, everybody's glad to be back as an adult, and Goku even thanks Glorio. And then that's when we see Arensu actually beginning to be a little bit upset and realizing what actually happened, that her wish was not granted, because that's when the Demon Realm Porunga actually bids them farewell and the Demon Realm's Dragon Balls begin to disperse. And then we cut to Goma actually stating that even though you may have turned back into adults, you still don't stand a chance against me. And of course, the Salty King had to pop up and said, don't underestimate us now that we're back to normal. And then that's when Goku and Vegeta start to quarrel a little bit, because obviously Vegeta thinks it's his turn now since Goku's been fighting this whole time, which he technically has a point though. So that's when they end up switching out, and Vegeta tells everybody, do not butt in. And I will have to say, even though I am not a Vegeta fan, I am not a Vegeta glazer like the rest of you. For whatever reason, I don't understand why y'all love to glaze Vegeta so much. But he did do a great job during this fight. He was giving Goma them hands, I will have to admit. But while the battle started off, again with Vegeta in base form, we see Glorio and Arensu discussing essentially Glorio's betrayal to Arensu. Gloria ends up telling her that he's very sorry, and Arensu comes at him with, haven't you forgotten the kindness that I rescued you from the third demon world? But again, Glorio is still grateful for everything that she's done for him. And that's why Glorio is such a good guy, because even though he didn't believe that Arensu and her whole goals and whatnot were what needed to happen, he's still grateful for everything that she's done, because seemingly enough, she's still a good person, because she ends up telling him to forget about it, in which literally she just drops everything, which is a little weird, but at the same time, I kind of get it, because at the end of the day, regardless if she made the wish or not, she can technically still become the Supreme Demon King. So I think that's where her mindset is right now. That's the real reason why she's telling him to forget about it. But that's yet to be seen, because she then tells him that he's fired and that he needs to leave. Again, Glorio thanks her for everything, and then he dips off to Goku and the group. And funny enough, Majin Kuu's like, don't worry, I'll stick with you. And crazy enough, Arensu's smiling, so she actually has some form of attachment to Majin Kuu. She doesn't hate him. But then we go back to Vegeta and Goma fighting. Vegeta finally gets used to his body, and that's when he really goes on the attack. He starts putting the paws to this man Goma for real, for real. But Goma's not phased, and he tries to smash Vegeta in his hands, but Vegeta's like, all right, bet. I'm about to show you what a real Saiyan's like. And that's when he powers up into Super Saiyan, knocks Goma back, and then gives him the most vicious kick to the gut that we've seen in a long time, sends this man flying. But as this man goes flying, one of the coolest sequences that I've seen in quite some time. And again, I hate that it's Vegeta, but oh well. It's Dragon Ball, right? It's Dragon Ball. So we see Vegeta flying towards Goma after he kicked him back, right? And as he's flying towards Goma, not only has he already gone Super Saiyan, but he begins to transform into Super Saiyan 2. You see the electricity. And then as he gets closer to Goma, his hair starts to grow, which means he's turning into Super Saiyan 3. Yes, folks, we get to see Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta yet again, but as an adult. The true version of Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. And my God, is it glorious. Yes, for those Vegeta fans out there, for those Vegeta glazers out there, you finally get to see your king, even though he's not king, he's a prince. You finally get to see him in his full glory, his full max power, at least back then, right? And Goma's upset because he allowed him to sit here and transform. Everybody's amazed that they get to see Vegeta in Super Saiyan 3 at his full power, because again, these guys were kids, so even though they could transform into their most powerful forms, they still weren't as strong as they could have been since they weren't in their adult bodies. And with that being said, Vegeta really begins to put the pause on this man Goma, because he sits there and just teleports right into this man's gut and gives him another vicious uppercut. Oh my God, Vegeta, I will say this, Vegeta is definitely the quote-unquote king of doing this, and he lays in on Goma time after time after time with punches and kicks. It's crazy. This man just does not get a break at all. And crazy enough, this man ends up giving him the most crazy downward kick. I don't know what type of kick this is. I am not a martial artist, but still, he gives this man the most crazy downward kick, almost causes Goma's regular eyes to pop out. Not just the third eye, but his regular eyes to pop out his face. But crazy enough, the third eye does not allow for this man to sit here and take damage like that, or at the very least to lose stamina, as we learn later in the episode. He says that he could go all day, and then that's when we cut to seeing Glorio arriving at Goku's group. He thinks that they're going to be mad at him, but crazy enough, Pansy starts running towards him because she's so happy. She's literally like a little sister to this man. And I love this whole scene because this scene literally, it made me feel very warm inside. I will say that. I was so happy to see that the group was not mad at Glorio at all. And everybody's thanking him for making the wish. And then we see Goku actually telling Glorio, nice job, Glorio. Yes, he said Glorio's name correctly for the first time. It only took 19 episodes. But either way, he still said it. And Glorio was very happy that he actually said his name for real this time. It's almost as if Goku was playing him this whole time. But hey, it is what it is at this point. Because then we cut back to Vegeta, again, putting the pause on this man. And then he dashes behind him after he punches him through this giant rock. And then that's when we get to see something that a lot of you glazers, you Vegeta glazers, love seeing Vegeta do. Yes, a final flash. He begins charging a final flash. A Vegeta Super Saiyan 3 final flash. And I will have to say, Toei is in their bag during this whole episode, especially this sequence, because Goma's upside down and he begins to prepare a mouth blast, but Vegeta just lets that final flash go and he blasts Goma through that rock and causes a big old gaping hole. But sadly, and of course, Vegeta is tired, because why? Super Saiyan 3 is a very taxing form. Let me say this right now to you Vegeta glazers. It didn't matter if it was Goku. It's clearly the Super Saiyan 3 form in general, as you can see. Yes, Vegeta already took damage from the previous battle when they were still kids. They still had that battle damage from earlier and never healed. But regardless of that fact, Vegeta's still tired because of the Super Saiyan 3 form itself. And you can see him tired and sweating and noticing that Goma did not take any damage. And then out of nowhere, Goma just appears right behind him, gives this man Vegeta the craziest punch that we've seen this man take in quite some time. And then Vegeta just dashes out the way and he continues to try and put the pause on this man Goma. And then that's when we cut back to Goku and he notices that Vegeta is exhausted and that his Super Saiyan 3 form is not going to last much longer. But Piccolo is the one to notice that it's the third eye, the Tertian Oculus, that's actually restoring Goma and keeping his stamina up. And then he also comments that it might not be time to sit here fight this man solo. We might have to actually fight together, even though seemingly, even if we fight together, it may still not work. And then that's when we cut to Arensu, and she's thinking of ways to try and get Goma away from the third eye. And that's when she remembers that King Abora, Dabora's father, used to take the third eye out at will, but she just did not remember how he did it. And then that's when she tells Ku to go bring one of her magic books. And then as Ku is doing that, we cut back to Vegeta. Again, you can tell that this man is tired. He's still giving Goma the hands, but again, he's pretty tired at this point. But crazy enough, this man sits here and grabs Vegeta by the hair and tells him, "What's wrong? You're finished already?" And then punches him all the way across the map. And then that's when we really see that Vegeta's tired, because he begins to de-transform back to his base form. At that point, Goku butts in and asks Vegeta, can he join? Obviously, Vegeta sits there and says, "No, stupid, back off. I'll take anyone out that gets in my way." And Goku obviously thought Vegeta would say something like that and wonders what they should do, since Goma doesn't lose any stamina no matter how much they end up hitting him. And then we cut back to Arensu, and we see that Ku has actually brought her the magic book. She begins to flip through it, but she's not flipping through it fast enough. So then Ku jumps in, and since Ku can read very, very fast, he finds the page that she's looking for within a split second. And then she ends up going to Goku's group and tells them to listen closely, that Goma's Tertian Oculus can be removed if you hit him in the back of the head 3 times in a row. Yes, just 3 times in a row in the back of the head. Yes, it's very cliche, if you will, but hey, it's a way to get that thing out of his head. Everyone's surprised that she's helping, and then she's like, "Don't get the wrong idea. I just want Goma defeated, that's all." And that's what I was saying earlier, how more than likely she realizes no matter what, she can still become the Supreme Demon King. So I believe that she will end up being the Supreme Demon King once this fight is over, but again, that is yet to be seen. It's then that Piccolo states that he doubts that Goma will give them an opening to hit him in the back of the head 3 times. And then Goku tells him that even though he ain't got much stamina left, he has more than Vegeta. So he'll fight so that way Piccolo can find an opening to hit Goma in the back of the head. So that's their plan. But they can't execute that plan unless Vegeta gets off the battlefield. And then that's when Bulma's like, "Leave it to me." So she literally steps up and starts yelling at this man Vegeta. And she tells him to get your head out your butt and let everyone else fight. Vegeta's like, "No, I'll beat this man myself even if it kills me." And of course, Bulma's like, "Stop being stupid. If you're gonna keep fighting, then I'm never going to take a bath with you again." And my God, this is literally one of my favorite Vegeta moments of all Dragon Ball. This man is definitely a man's man, because guess what he did the moment that he heard this? Not only did he freeze and not care about what was going on in the battle, but the moment that it truly clicked in his head, he rushed off the battlefield faster than he was even fighting while he was on the battlefield. This man won't plan. This man loves him some Bulma. And this is why I believe that during that whole moment with Beerus slapping Bulma, that's what Vegeta was thinking about. That's what he was thinking about when he said "my Bulma." He just did not want to lose out on being able to take a bath with her no more. That's all Vegeta cares about. Now, I'm just kidding. Again, I love this scene. This is an amazing Vegeta scene. As soon as he gets to the group, he sits there and tells Goku to go ahead and take over. Everyone else is a little confused and taken aback that that's what took Vegeta off the battlefield. But hey, as long as he's out of there, because now it's time for Goku to hop in here. And he sits there and says that he hopes that he suspects nothing, but he will be on his guard, so they only have 1 chance. And Piccolo's like, "I know," because again, remember their plan is for Goku to essentially get in there, fight, distract him, while Piccolo hits him in the back of the head 3 times. So then that's when Goku pops up in front of Goma. Goma's like, "Oh, so now it's you." And then Goku's pretty much like, "Yeah," as he begins to stretch. Goma says, "It doesn't matter who fights me. Why don't you all just fight me at once?" And in this part, I will say, I don't like when people sit here and say that Goku is not smart. Goku may not necessarily be book smart, but this man is not only street smart, but his battle IQ is very, very high, because he's thinking to himself, or at the very least, he's telepathically talking to Piccolo, because again, remember, they technically have this ability to talk to each other telepathically. They just don't do it that much within Dragon Ball. They've done it a handful of times, but again, they do have this ability. So I'm not quite sure if he was telepathically talking to Piccolo, but I'm very sure that he was, because Goku is sitting here again in his head saying, "Time ain't on my side here. I need to end this quickly." And when he says that, Piccolo's hiding behind a rock and he nods. So again, I think he's either telepathically speaking to Piccolo, or he's thinking this to himself, and because he looked at Piccolo, Piccolo just knew exactly what he was meaning. And then that's when Goku sits there and says, "Take a good look, Goma." And this entire sequence, my God, was it so beautiful. It was the most beautifully animated sequence within Dragon Ball that I've seen in quite some time. And yes, this is probably up there with the Broly movie. Yes, I'm going that far in saying that. And this is in an anime form, not a movie. So I love it when Toei can actually take their time on their anime production, because when it came to Dragon Ball Super, they rushed everything out. They literally started the animation on that a few months before the anime even came out. And that's what was Dragon Ball Super's problem. The animation was not up to par. With Dragon Ball Daima, we don't know what the animation schedule was, but they were more than likely finished with the entire anime long before the anime even started. And I love that they took their time with this, because again, this entire sequence not only looked good, but it was a callback to one of the greatest moments within Dragon Ball Z, at least for me. Yes, this moment was a callback to the transformation into Super Saiyan 3, the original one into Super Saiyan 3, where Goku is essentially showing Majin Buu and Babidi the Super Saiyan forms, and then he transformed into Super Saiyan 3. He does the exact same thing here to Goma, where he's showing Goma all the Super Saiyan forms. Again, he starts out with Super Saiyan, and then he goes into Super Saiyan 2. This entire process and sequence looks so good. It is animated and drawn so beautifully. And then of course he goes into Super Saiyan 3. Again, the nostalgia is just eating away at my heart, because it's literally not only looking exactly like the anime version from Dragon Ball Z, but it's also looking like Toriyama's original drawings, which is crazy. And that's something that I'm loving so much. And then we get to see adult Goku in his Super Saiyan 3 form for the first time in quite some time, since Dragon Ball Super, during the Tournament of Power arc, I believe. And then it's at this point that Goma sits there and says, "More pointless transformations." And then he prepares to fight, thinking that this is it. But Goku just smiles, and then the camera zooms in and says, "One more bonus." And then it cuts to Vegeta, and he says, "It can't be." And then Goku says, "This is." And then he begins to power up. And if you watched episode 18, then you already have a general idea of where this man is going. He begins to power up, and again, this sequence is so good. It looks so amazing as he's powering up. And as he's powering up, you can begin to see little tidbits of what he's transforming into. For instance, his eyes start to glow red. And then crazy enough, this was one of the craziest aura forms that I've ever seen Goku do. This man sits there and rips his shirt off and then just throws it all up in the air. I'm like, oh, I almost needed to change of pants myself. And then he kept powering up, shaking everything around him. And then a big beam of light comes from the arena that Goku made. And that light is so bright that Tamagami number 2 and Tamagami number 3 can see the light from where they're standing. And then that's when we see Goku's hand come up, and we can see what we think is Super Saiyan 4. And yes, I really hope that Goku had actually said what it was, but I believe they're saving that for this last episode that's coming next weekend. But yes, he never actually said what it is. All he said was "this is," and then that's when he began to transform. But yes, folks, we get to see adult Goku, normal Goku if you will, in this form that we as fans are currently calling Super Saiyan 4. And yes, even though it looks very similar to what we saw when he was in his kid form, it is slightly different. Obviously the only difference is obviously he's taller, but a lot of proportions that some people may have thought were just from him being a kid are not that. Yes, his forearms are still big, very reminiscent of some form of ape, if you will. But yes, that is how the episode ends, seeing Super Saiyan 4 Goku in his full glory in Dragon Ball Daima. I loved this episode. I don't understand how they were able to animate it this well and not do Super the exact same way, because if Super had been animated in a very similar fashion, then Dragon Ball Super would have achieved way more than it did. But I digress. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode, not only because of the fights and the nostalgia, but I enjoyed this episode because of what it encompasses and tells to me, because this was a callback to everything that Toriyama did during Dragon Ball Z and some of the things that some of the fans, especially with Toei Animation creating GT, it was a callback and an homage to Toriyama, and I thoroughly enjoyed it all. So Toriyama, thank you so much, because during this episode and the way certain scenes and still images were animated, I could specifically see your artistic influence. Images ripped straight out of the manga, and I loved it. So again, thank you so much. Rest in peace. With that being said, y'all, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to comment down below your favorite part, what you're looking forward to during episode 20, because episode 20 is coming out next week. It's the last episode of Dragon Ball Daima. I can't wait to sit here and talk to y'all about it. But again, if you have not already subscribed and you enjoyed this review, be sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and then ring the bell to receive notifications, so that way you know every time that I happen to upload a video. And if you want to stay up to date with me, you can actually follow me on all of my social media platforms. It doesn't matter what social media you're on, I'm more than likely up there, whether that's Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, it doesn't matter. I'm on all of them. Follow me at NerdStorm92. And then if you want to catch me live and talk to me live, I usually stream on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is twitch.tv/NerdStorm92. I play a variety of games, so definitely come by, hang out with the community, and have a great time. And speaking of the community, if you want to just chill with us, come in, talk about Dragon Ball or any of your other interests, because my community has a large variety of interests. Be sure to go ahead and follow the Discord link in the description below. I'll have that there for you as well. And with that being said, y'all, I will catch you next week in the next Dragon Ball Daima review video, the very last one, sadly. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Peace.